Hey everyone, my name's Christy. Welcome to my corner. Thank you all so much for joining me today on this Flosstube Friday for Flosstube 29, I think. I didn't check. I should have checked. I have a little bit to talk about today, not a ton. I've been really busy with work and I think I'm suffering from like COVID fatigue. Like I'm not upset or sad or anything. I'm just like exhausted and I'm having trouble focusing. So I'm having trouble focusing on work, which means it's taking longer, which is cutting into my stitching time. And then I'm also kind of having trouble focusing on stitching. So I do have 2 FOs, which I was hoping to FFO before today, but it just didn't happen. I have a couple of whips and then I have some Happy Mail. And yeah, I have some great haul coming that I ordered back in January that was on back order, and that's coming next week. So that's really, really fun. And yeah, that's about it. I don't really have a ton to talk about. But before we get to all that, I want to welcome my new subscribers. Thanks so much for joining me on my artistic and crafty adventures. And welcome back everyone who's been hanging out with me for the past few months, days, weeks, however long you've been here. It's been so nice to get to know you here on YouTube and also on Instagram. And if you're not following me on Instagram, you can find me at Dr_Christy. I'll put that right here. And that's where I post pictures of my stitching in progress. I post pictures of my dog and baking and pattern ideas and life and all sorts of different things. So if you're interested in any of that and want to see what I'm doing during the week, you can find me there. This is a channel about embroidery and cross stitch and other textile crafts, as well as baking and history and the history of all those things. So if any of that is interesting to you and you have not subscribed, I would love to have you subscribe to my channel and stick around. So I have, like I said, 2 FFOs. I have not ironed them. I had planned on having them finished, but time just keeps moving. And I am just not moving as fast as time. So they are unironed and not fully finished. But they are both basically the same thing. So I had mentioned last week that I wanted to do some pieces based on Amanda Gorman's inaugural poem at the Biden inauguration called The Hill We Climb. It was a very moving poem and it really affected me. And the thing that struck me about her delivery of this poem was how graceful her hand movements were. She had very graceful and elegant hand movements that were very emotive and really, really interesting and really lovely. And so I did a pattern that is inspired by her poem. At the end, the line is, "For there is always light, if only we are brave enough to see it, if only we are brave enough to be it." And I didn't want to put the whole poem, the whole end line, but I wanted to put her kind of call to action, right? Her call to action is for us to be brave and to be the light. And so that's what I did here. So this one is the second one I did, and it's going to be finished in a red flexi hoop. I'll go get it. 1 second. So my plan was to finish it in this red flexi hoop, but now I'm seeing that the top's broken. So if I can't fix that, like kind of cannibalized from another one, I'm going to paint a wooden hoop red and put it in this. And the reason why red is because, well, red and yellow, basically. She is wearing an amazing yellow jacket. Like the jackets at the inauguration were phenomenal. And she had this amazing, so her hair was beautiful, all in braids, and it was kind of piled up on her head. And it had like this amazing kind of red headpiece on her hair. And her style struck me just like her words and her hand movements did. And this ring here, in the picture that I kind of got this from, you can't really tell what it is, but it's a bird cage, and it was a gift to her from Oprah in honor of Maya Angelou. So lots of meaning. And I did turn this into a pattern. I have a couple tweaks I want to make, but the pattern should be available sometime next week. I plan on finishing it up next week. I just want to shift some of the proportions a little bit and do a nice photo of this once it's fully finished. So that's that one. And I said I had 2 of them because I also had a friend, my friend Valerie, asked to have one as well. And so I made her one, and she asked for the Be Brave to be in purple because it matches her decor. And so I'm going to finish this in this brown hoop and send this off to her. She's in Chicago. I don't know, Monday. I'll finish it up this weekend and send it off to her. Those are my finished objects, and next week they'll be fully finished and I will take pictures of them. I'll take pictures of both of them, and I'll take pictures of the one I'm sending off before I send it off so you can see it fully finished, although it'll basically just look like that without the extra fabric. So those are my finished objects. I have 2 whips. I did not get to work on everything I wanted to work on. I haven't worked on my cross stitch at all. I haven't worked on my scarf at all. So I have worked on my Hildegard of Bingen. And so this is all I've done up here. I've added a little bit of the yellow. This is what it's going to look like. So Hildegard of Bingen is a 12th century medieval nun and mystic. And I'll put the video that I made up here about her. It's funny, I actually am teaching a medieval Christianity course this semester, and this week we're talking about Hildegard of Bingen. So Hildegard's been on my mind this month. But this is where I am with that, and I would like to get a bit more of this done. I kind of want to focus on this. I'm ready to like keep this moving because, yeah, I'm ready to keep it moving. But that's what I've done, a little flame, a little celestial, heavenly flame. And I now have to keep it out of the hoop because I don't want to damage the paint, because this blue is watercolor. I don't want to damage the paint, and I don't want to mess up like the stitches. So I have to pull it in and pull it out of the hoop, which I think does probably inhibit my working on it as much as I normally would, because it's like one more barrier to working on it. The other thing I worked on is my temperature library, which is in my book bag. Here is what that looks like. And this week, you know, I work on this on Sundays with my mom. And so basically it was that really, really cold week, right? I'm in Mississippi, and so it was very cold, and I actually added a whole new color. So right here, which I think I mentioned. I think I mentioned that last week. But anyway, so I added a whole new color, which is DMC white etoile. So it's kind of sparkly, and that is the below freezing color. Oh, and maybe I just posted it on an Instagram. I may have just posted it on Instagram. Yeah. So I decided that I needed a new color for below freezing because we're never below freezing. Like, our high is never below freezing. Our houses just aren't made for below freezing. So I'm up to date for last Saturday and last Sunday, and then this Sunday I'll finish out February because the 1st is on a Monday. So that'll be nice to have another full shelf done. And then I'm definitely going to try and get some more of the fill-in done because I needed to get kind of booking on that. And I also need to figure out, I think I charted this little bowl here in red. I think I'm going to keep it in red for Valentine's Day. And it'll also be a nice kind of change from the image that's there, like from the colors that are there already. So it'll be a nice bright red, like DMC 666, right? The bright red, and that'll stand out really nicely. And I also want to do kind of the shelves and maybe some fill-in. So that's what I've worked on. That's all I worked on this week, along with kind of like feeling the COVID fatigue. I cracked my phone screen, so I'm actually haven't been using it very much. So I haven't been posting on Instagram very much. And that's been causing me trouble. Not the Instagram part, but the phone part. Like, it kind of flashes at me like it's cracked in half. I'm so mad. I'm like looking at this and just so mad. Speaking of the temperature library, I mentioned this last week, but I created a Pattern Keeper compatible version of the temperature library. So if you've purchased the temperature library pattern, the cross stitch pattern, and would like a Pattern Keeper compatible version of it, there's a Google form that I'll put the link to down below that I want you to fill out with your email address, and I will send you a copy of the Pattern Keeper compatible version. No charge. I'll just send it out to you. I'll just send you the PDF because I didn't know how to do it at the time I made the pattern, but then someone on Etsy suggested that I check it out. And so I did some research, and it was actually really easy to make it compatible. So I did. So anyone buying my cross stitch patterns going forward, except the Knick Knack expansion pack, that one is not Pattern Keeper compatible because no one's just like stitching the whole thing. So I didn't bother. But going forward, all of my cross stitch patterns will have 2 files in the Etsy shop that you'll download, or that you can download. One of them is like the PDF version of it, and one of them is the Pattern Keeper compatible version of it. With the bookshelf this year, I didn't know how to do that, and now I do. And so I'm happy to send that out to anyone who's interested in using Pattern Keeper for the cross stitch version of the Temperature Library. I feel like I usually have so much more to talk about, but I really do not have much to talk about this week. Like, I have not gotten very much done. So I'm going to talk about Happy Mail, and then I think I'm going to just skedaddle. I got a package from my stepmom and my mom this week, both of which had some fun things in them. The package from my stepmom is bittersweet. My grandmother is not doing well. She had a pretty serious fall in December. And so she was taken to the hospital, and she was in rehab, and she was doing okay, and then she wasn't doing okay. Anyway, she's now in a long-term care home, which is good because she needs someone to take care of her. She seems to be having some dementia issues and also is having mobility issues. So my dad and my stepmom are clearing out her apartment, and so they sent me some of her items, right? Some of the things that I asked for and some things that they thought that I would like. One of the things that I asked to have is this little swan bowl. And it says on the bottom that it's from me, that I gave it to her. I wanted this because, well, it will remind me of my grandmother, but also I can turn it into a pincushion. I can embroider something or cross stitch something and make this into a pincushion. So it's something I will use, and it will also remind me of my grandmother. I'm really looking forward to that. There was a little bit of damage when it shipped, but I repaired it fairly well, and I think it'll make an adorable pincushion. So you'll see that, I don't know, the next couple weeks or months whenever I get around to making a pincushion. And maybe I will even have I'll have a little pincushion tutorial. Who knows? I have my little swan. I also got a lot of crystal objects, like small crystal objects, but they're not really relevant here. But one of them is a hedgehog, and it's adorable, but not Stitchy related. I did get some textiles. So there was this belt or sash that I think my stepmom said was from Mexico. And I feel like this would be something beautiful. I can do something beautiful with this textile. And then there were some needlepoint and some embroidery pieces that I haven't even looked at. I haven't washed them or looked at them yet in full. But there is this one of birds, which is cute. And I don't know what I'm going to do with these. This would make a really cute pillow, perhaps. They didn't know who had done them or where they're from, but they know that I do textile design and art, and so they thought they'd send them to me. So we had that. And then there were also like a table runner. Which is really beautiful as well. And this is using, looks like it's a pretty thick embroidery thread. But this is really lovely, and it looks like it's on linen. I don't know. I just feel like I can do something. I can do something with this too. Or maybe even use it as a table runner, because it's definitely a table runner. This also looks like a table runner. And then a cross stitch table runner, which looks very similar to the other one, only in cross stitch form. So I have these. This one's a little bit damaged there. So I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I do like this border. This border would look nice on. Anyway, I don't know what I will do with these. They were unexpected in my package, but I'm happy to have them, and I'm sure that I will come up with something to do with them. So that is the first box of Happy Mail. And the second box of Happy Mail came from my mom. And those of you who watch my mom's vlog every day, I'll post a link to her down below, know that she has been struggling with some thread. So she sent it all to me. First of all, she sent me one of her watercolor cards. She's been playing around with watercolors and has been making some beautiful note cards. So that is lovely. I feel like I might put that in a frame or something and put it on my wall. That's very nice. It's very nice, Mom. And I got a box of silks. So I didn't open them, but these are from her advent calendar that she got from Devere Yarn, the silk advent calendar. And I see there's white silk in there, which is amazing because that's something that I've been missing. But this silk is incredibly thin. It is probably half of a DMC, of one strand of DMC. The Devere Yarn silk is filament silk as opposed to spun silk. And so it's finer and shinier. And so she gave this to me. I think this is good. This is really good for like silk shading, like really high quality silk shading. And I have some ideas of things I want to try with this, because I realized that when I started making videos, I had all of these ideas of like different kinds of stitching experiments that I wanted to do. And then I feel like I got busy with work and I lost some of that. And stitching became kind of like meditative instead of creative. I think for me, stitching, I kind of want stitching to be both of those things. I want it to be meditative and calming and soothing, but also it's my creative outlet at the moment. So there are some things I would like to do with these silks because they're so fine. Yeah, so I have some ideas, and I don't know when these ideas will come to fruition. I don't have a ton of time right now. And we're getting into the really busy part of the semester. It's like midterms this week. And I think, you know, I need to focus on my job and get all that stuff done. But I am feeling like I want to think outside the box again. So you may see some experiments going forward. That's my Happy Mail, and that's really all I have to talk about. I do have some plans. Of course, I'm going to do my temperature pattern with my mom on Sunday, as per usual, and finish up February. I do, like I said, want to focus on, put some time into Hildegard of Bingen. I also did not work on my scarf at all, so I want to work on my scarf with my Bayou Tapestry dudes on them. I want to finish up those Amanda Gorman inspired pieces and fully finish those in their hoops. And I would like to work on my Harpy and Dragon cross stitch because I want to kind of get that moving along. I did start working on my next cross stitch pattern, but I think I'm going to let that sit for a little bit and do a couple other things first. So yeah, so that is what's happening in my stitching land, and I think I'm going to end it here. I don't really have much to talk about. Like I said, I've been very busy, so it has been great catching up with you. I hope you enjoyed seeing my little bit of stitching and you know, hearing a little bit of catching up with me, and I look forward to chatting with you in the comments and on Instagram. And like I said, you can find me at Dr._Christy. And with all that being said, please take good care of yourselves and have a good one. Bye.